we are going to really be diving in deep into being able to take all of those things that you have to do in a job search, especially in an executive job search, when over 85% of all of the jobs that are available to six-figure professionals are actually not posted on job boards. So spending a lot of time, or really job boards hold 4 or 5% of all the jobs out there. So if you spend more than 4 or 5% of your week looking at the job boards, you're actually wasting your time. I shouldn't say wasting. You are not using your time most effectively. So I want to help you today determine how to use your time most effectively for you, which is going to be different for everyone. Everyone's got their own goals, their own targets, and therefore their activities, their behaviors are going to be a little bit different. So, but we're going to talk about, though, the different routines that you can set up, especially the morning routine, because that sets up the rest of the day. So we're going to talk about how to create a very effective morning routine, afternoon routine, evening routine that will get you toward the goal of getting a new job. All right, so hello, Philip and Clay. Everyone's here, great. Just fire away at any questions. They'll be able to answer them for sure. All right, so let me dive into our slide presentation. All right, give me just a moment. And let's see, give me just a second. I'm gonna roll it in. Let's start. Here we are. Oh, that's funny. My face is above, actually, I'm behind the desk in that little circle in the back there. All right, so creating a job search around your very busy lifestyle. Most of our clients are employed, and that means that they are working a good, sometimes 60 hours or more in their company, and they've got to fit in, I always say, about 5 to 6 hours a week. If you can do that consistently and you can do the right things consistently, you can actually have a very effective job search if you got at least 5 or 6 hours per week. And not all of it has to be during business hours. In fact, because of LinkedIn, really, you can do an online search without ever having to go to the job boards, and you actually don't have to do it during business hours. You can work all day, and then when you either come home at night, you can spend an hour, or in the morning. And I'll share with you my morning routine. It's not going to be exactly the same for you, but I will share with you what I've found that works and what our clients find that works. And then hopefully you can take some of these tips and integrate them into your life. All right. So why we are here, I just want to level set. You're here, of course, because you want to find a better job. And really, when we're working with clients to help them, and for those of you who aren't familiar with career resume consulting, I started it in 2008 at the height of the recession of 2008, and then found that I could give people really great advice to take them outside of the normal job-seeking activities into something that's much more productive. And 8 out of 10 of our clients get jobs created for them that weren't there before, that didn't exist. So what that means is that, and I'm trying to find my mouse here. What that means is that if you position yourself as a standalone investment instead of just a candidate, you're going to find that opportunities open up for you that don't open up for other people. So we'll talk a little bit about what to do, but mainly what I want to do today is establish some routines for you, give you a framework that you can use to establish routines that really can help you out. Okay, so I have found that building daily routines actually works. And I think one of the things that I would say probably the secret to why they work is consistency. You really need to have the right things in place, doing the right behaviors, doing the right activities with a goal in mind, and it will get you toward that goal. You know, what I found is when you're doing the right things in the right way, the universe conspires to help you out. Not to be woo-woo, but it does help you out. People get really lucky when doing the right things. So let's get you doing right things so that you're lucky. All right. Okay, so I want to start with creating a morning routine that really allows you to jump out of bed very excited, very motivated, and sets up your day correctly. You know, and I don't know about you, but our morning routines have kind of changed. A lot of people they've had their morning routine changed since the pandemic because they're not commuting anymore. So, you know, speaking of that, I'm going to go back into my chat so I can take a look at this. Hey, Arvind, how are you? Okay, so do tell me in chat, if you can, how many hours a week you spend currently in a job search. And that could be late night, that could be emails, any kind of job search activity, whether it's for an immediate impact or a long-term value activity like building up a network. Let me know how many hours a week do you currently spend in a job search right now. So let me know in the chat because I'd love to take a look. Oh, and Arvind, specific process to search board positions as job search. Yeah, actually, but I'm going to give everyone a routine that you can use no matter what your objective is. So if the objective is to get a new job, you can make that the objective. If it's to get a board position, you can make that the objective. So what I'm going to do today is really help you with a framework of getting out to the right people. When it comes to board positions, a lot of times, if you're looking for a board position that's paid and you're looking for private companies versus public, because there's a difference. I've found that, you know, once you have a great brand, which you do, because we work together. So now that you've got a great brand, you can start reaching out to partners within private equity firms. I would probably make that your top priority, or the amount of work that you spend every week. Make most of it toward contacting and having conversations with private equity firms or the people within PE firms. And I'd be very happy to send you some information. I can tell you that, and this, since you're a client of mine, I would love to send you some information on how to go about getting the best PE firms and who to talk to within private equity. So if actually, Hannah, if you could send me a text on that, I'll make sure that I follow up with that over the weekend. All right. So Jill, hello, 3 to 4 hours a day. All right. All right. Sounds good. And Justin has got 3 to 5 hours a week, but plan to expanding that after next week. Fantastic. Fantastic. Hi, Oli. How you doing? And Tim, way too many hours. And Janine, 25 hours. CK, 1 to 2. I know you're super busy, CK. I totally get that. Robin Jenkins, 3 to 4 hours. Let's see if we can expand that for sure. Brenda's got 10 to 15. And Andrew, 6 to 10. That's a lot of hours. And Arvind's 3 hours a day. Let's start putting together a framework that you can use to get you to that activity. And I guess I will spill the beans with other people. And basically, Arvind, what I would recommend is using a database called Crunchbase. And I've got a username password. And so we can talk about what Crunchbase looks like if you're using it yourself to find private equity to talk with them about board positions. So I'll go through that with you. All right. So the only way for you to do, you know, the actual setting up of a daily routine is to craft a morning routine yourself, and not just mine. So I want you to think about the routine for the entire day in setting up a morning routine. And morning, to me, is just the easiest to start with, because that really sets up the rest of your day for job searching activities. And we'll go through those. The first step really is to think about it as an entire day routine. And then the second step is really identifying the objective of the daily routine. So when I say objective, I'm talking about the goal for the morning routine, the goal for the day, okay? we'll talk about what that goal could look like versus what most people do. And you don't want to be random with the activities that you do. In other words, if some people say, you should start with meditation, you should really start with gratitude. Other people say, take a cold shower. If you're familiar with the Wim Hof method, Wim Hof is a gentleman that likes to dive into ice baths. And he said that that's something that really invigorates him, makes him healthy, and makes him feel alive. Good luck with that, Wim Hof. I'm not the ice bath kind of person. All right, so when we talk about productivity and being productive during your day and during your week, you can't think about it as what's productive for everyone else. Like there's a really great book by Robin Sharma, he's a guy, and he wrote a book called the 5 a.m. Club, maybe. It's about 5 a.m. If you just look up Robin Sharma, you're going to find something about it's 5 a.m. Club, I think. And he does put together some routines that are helpful. And I did take a few ideas from that book and put them into this one. But it needs to be productive for you. A lot of books, when they're talking about goal setting and goal achievement, they tell you to do very specific things. I'm more of the mindset of if you just think about what you need to do to get to that goal and you do those things, that's going to get you there. But I want to add some additional information into the framework. So like I said, my morning routine wouldn't necessarily work for you. And I always say, you do you, and then I can give you the overall framework. And my dog is underneath my feet and he's snoring. So if you hear something that sounds like my stomach growling, it's actually my dog. Sorry about that. All right. So, we talk about mornings. You could wake up and do some deep work. Deep work, a lot of people think it's the meditation and the gratitude journaling and things like that. For me, I like to wake up and actually get out of bed and then go to my computer and look at my day. Deep work for me is setting up in my head what my day looks like, because my days are very different. So I can have a great morning routine that's the same, but it's to figure out what my day is going to look like and what my routine, basically what my activities are going to be most productive. And for some people, they start with breakfast. I'm not one of those people, but absolutely you can do that. And again, I don't know that there are objectively like end all be all productive tasks, but really it's being productive to me is figuring out what your goal is, what your objective is, and then doing the activities that will get you closer to that goal. In fact, the Dilbert creator, Scott Adams, I think, the Dilbert creator, Scott Adams, has a book about, I think it's called Success Habits. It's actually a very good book. And he talks about how really it's not the goal. It's taking the activities that get you to this goal, doing those over and over again, and focusing on the activities rather than the end goal. And it's dependent upon what you want. So what is your objective for this daily routine? Meaning, what do you want to do? You want to add more time in your day for job searching? Okay, so if you do that, you're going to want to use the most effective job searching strategies versus applying for jobs online all day. Okay. So, is your daily routine designed to get most productive, or is it overall general life satisfaction? Or maybe it's something specific. Contact 5 CEOs for local companies in Lee Summit, Missouri, that I want to work for. So maybe it's something like that. And I did want to introduce to you a tool that we use here at CRC and we have our clients use, and that is Sales Navigator. Sales Navigator is a LinkedIn tool. And as you're probably very aware, LinkedIn is the end all be all place to be seen and to see the right people. A lot of people will accept a connection request from you if they don't know you. So I always say, hey, let's look at second level connections, meaning if I'm connected to 30,000 people, which is the most you can have, those 30,000 people have their own first level connections. So for those 30,000 peeps, I've got now the second level connections are in the hundreds of thousands. I think it might even be over 1 million. When you look at connecting with the right people, you've got a lot of people that are your second level connections. And when you're sending a connection request without knowing the person, if you have someone in common, what we found is that we get a minimum of 30% connectivity. 30% of people or more, sometimes 45, will connect with you, even though they don't know you, just because you are connected with someone that they know, that they appreciate, that they look up to. So, you know, look at Sales Navigator as a tool, because what it does is uses LinkedIn as a database of all of those people. So you can look at, like on this slide, we've got second degree connections within a 10-mile radius of my zip code. And I'm looking at a company headcount of 500 to 1,000. So that's what I put in there, and it's giving me. So we've got 34 specific results, and actually you can't see this, but down below where I did the screenshot, there's also the seniority level of a CXO, meaning they're in the C-suite. So 34 people within 10 miles of me are in LinkedIn, and they are in the C-suite of a company that has these search criteria. So take a look. It is costly. It's $80 a month, but all of our clients that use it say it's the most it's the best $80 that they spend. It's really got a lot of people, and you can connect with people on LinkedIn that you have in these lists. And keep in mind that we're talking about the hidden job market or the unadvertised job market, all right? So you can use this to get out there into companies that you don't even know exists, depending upon the criteria that you'd like to put in here. In fact, Networking Superhighway, which is our active outreach program, teaches you how to use that tool, but that's only the beginning. Really, it's more around teaching you what messages to send out to people and how to have those first conversations. That's super important. So whether you work with us or not, I would recommend be very mindful of the messages you send out and what their intention are. Don't sell yourself too early. Don't say, hey, I'd like to connect with you because I'm looking for a job. Because then their guard goes up and they're not going to connect with you and they won't talk with you pretty much. You sell yourself too early, you're going to get a lot of no's. So just connect, knowing that you've got people in common. And then I would send a couple of messages that would provide value to them in some way. And then several weeks later, then you can send a message with a call to action, which is basically, hey, I'm starting to look outside my current company and wondering if you have this particular problem. So figure out what problem you solve, put that in a message, and you're going to get some people going, hey, yeah, I do have that problem. Let's talk. All right. And if you don't have a goal for the day or for the week, then there's no such thing as productivity. So going back to that framework, you want to make sure that any activity that you do is to get you closer to that goal. Okay. Always think about the objective for the day and for the week and how you're going to get there, what the activities are. So you can't say that my objective is I want a new job. No, that's not going to work, because then what is it that you're going to do to get that new job? You really have to think very specific. So break it down into smaller goals that will allow you to behave in ways, do some activities that will get that accomplished, to get that goal, to get to that goal. So think about what those activities are. For instance, I've just listed a few. Add accomplishments to my LinkedIn profile. That might be your goal for this week, might be your goal for this day. So you're waking up with that goal in mind. Therefore, if you add it to just a routine, if you've got a routine of spending an hour in the morning, and like I said, 5 to 6 hours a week, ends up, if you do the right things, it ends up with a really productive search. So you've got an hour in the morning, let's say, and it could be the hour that you used to spend commuting, driving to your work, when now you're not. I'm working with a client who just got an offer, which is nice. And he's probably going to be moving from New York to Minneapolis. And so that's a big change for him. But he was telling me that since he lives in New York, he actually, in order to drive to Midtown, or I shouldn't say drive, I believe he takes the train and the subway. In order to get to his work, he used to spend 90 minutes each way getting to his job. Yikes. Now, see, I'm in Kansas City. We don't have a traffic problem. We think if it takes me a half hour to get across town, all the way across town, that's a long drive. But 90 minutes every single day, each way. So what can you do with those 3 hours? What can you do with your commute time that you used to have? And then I've got some other things here. So it could be that you are in the first stages of looking for a job, or maybe you're starting your search over in the right way. And you'll want to add accomplishments to your LinkedIn profile. You're going to add your recent experience to your resume. In other words, update that resume with the most recent accomplishments. You can also spend your hour crafting messages to send to employers, reaching out to partners in private equity firms, calling Tammy Kabell at CRC. These are all very productive things. So I recommend figuring out what it is that you want to do, like big picture, and then break it down into smaller goals that you would have on a weekly basis, maybe a monthly basis. It depends on what the goal is. And it can also be less tangible stuff, like I need to change my mindset. Let's say you are in a dysfunctional environment or a toxic environment. You want to get out of there, but if you've got a really messed up mindset, like you are so over that place, you've got to be able to change it in order to find that role. Because if you don't, you're not going to be attractive to the next company that's looking for somebody like you. So, and then you've got the overall objective, get a better mindset. Then you start to do research on how to achieve that. Then you start to read some books. I personally like YouTube, and I'm a Kindle person, but I have more Audible than anything else. I was actually looking at the number of Audible books I had the other day, and it's about 270. I got a lot of Audible books. They're great. I love to listen to them before going to sleep. So think about what those objectives are that you want to do, and I want you right now to put your objective for, let's say for June, and yeah, this is 10 days into it, but let's put your objective by the end of June. You want to accomplish what? All right. Put it in chat, because I want you to be committed to it. If you put something publicly, now, of course, there's not a ton of people watching this right now, but there are many people that watch it afterward. But think about this. If you put it in a public square, right? If you got it in chat, you're going to be more committed. It's going to heighten your commitment to obtaining that one thing. So put it in chat, because I want to take a look. Let's see. I got to scroll up. All right. Okay. Finding the right executive recruiters. That's a good one. That's a good one. Now, keep in mind, executive recruiters hold about 11% of all of the six-figure jobs out there. And that's six-figure, like anything over 100,000, where a lot of six-figure people are now multiple six-figure people because of, inflation over the years has increased the amount of money that you need to just pay bills. So if you're looking for executive recruiters, what I would recommend, and actually, so Brenda, here's what I would do. Since you're a client too, I've got a list of the top, I think it's the top 20 executive recruiters. It could be 20 or 25. And there is, I can give you that list. So actually talk to your coach about what that list is, and we can get it to you. And it's got a link, and that'll take you to the, actual website. And in most executive recruiters' websites, there is a button to say, hey, if you're looking for a job, click here, submit your resume. So you would want to submit your new CRC resume. Okay, and so that's what I would recommend. Let me see what else we've got. Oh, excellent, Judy. Hey, that's a huge move. Oh my gosh. So Judy recently quit her job to get in the right headspace to actually look for her next role. I completely agree. If you aren't in the right headspace because it's just a toxic environment, you got to get out of there. You're not going to find something new unless you are in a positive mind frame. Okay. So once you've got that objective, and I do want you to put it in, wow, excellent. You got second outreach to 1,300 LinkedIn connections. That's Janine. All right. So what I want you to do after you've got that objective and you've posted it publicly, then it's time to figure out how you should be spending your time in order to reach that objective, right? So be thinking about what that is. Now, I want to talk with you about the advantages of a 30,000-foot view. Let's zoom back out. So think about if you're in a rainforest and you're completely hopelessly lost. If you climb a tree to the top of the canopy and you can see for miles, you'll know where the river is, or you'll know where the mountain is, and you'll know which direction in order to go. All right. And then you can come down, you can build a straight line to that direction. So I want to talk about what that looks like from a job searching standpoint for an executive, and really anyone making over 6 figures or multiple 6 figures. This is really what you have to consider. So thinking about it from a 30,000-foot view, you've got 4 different things that you need to accomplish in a specific order. The first one is your personal branding. You have to make sure before you start actively job searching in the right way that you have a very compelling LinkedIn and a very compelling resume. Now, what I've found is a one-page functional resume. That's the kind that we normally recommend using, and that's the first one that we build for our clients. That one-page functional resume outperforms the traditional chronological resumes by about 3 or 4 to 1, in between 3 and 4, which, I really think that it's because it looks different. It's because it's so short that it's digestible for someone. If you give them an 11-page CV or a 4-page CV, they're not going to read it. They're not going to read it at all. And you might have really good stuff hidden in page 3 at the bottom. You don't want that. You don't want that. So you want to have a one-page functional for that first human eyeball to look at it. So it's not, the one-page functional is not designed to get the attention of an applicant tracking system online. So if you're going to apply for things online, use your chronological. But that one-page functional is going to be your best bet if you're talking to individual people. Okay, so your branding is the first thing. And keep in mind, these days, LinkedIn will get you thousands of times more views than a resume. So make sure that your LinkedIn is not only consistent with your resume, but also tells the story in a very concise way and does so where it captures someone's attention and also engages that reader emotionally in some way. Oftentimes, having great numbers in your about section will get the attention of the reader and they'll want to read more. Also keep in mind the LinkedIn headline. That's the thing that everybody sees. They see your pretty picture, they see your background, of course, when you get there, but the headline is what captures their attention once it makes them want to read more. All right. So the first thing is branding. That is your first step. Second step is it's what our networking superhighway does is really it's the active outreach to people that you don't know. Again, 85% of jobs are out there in the unadvertised job market. So you have to go out and contact those people that you would want to talk to. That's why I like Sales Navigator, even though it's $80 a month. It is definitely worth it. You start to connect with a lot of people. And then if you build up a message campaign that will come to them and then ask them for a conversation after you've built your value to them, that's going to get their attention. Now, once you have that conversation, the goal of that conversation with them is to get you to the next step, which is to start seriously talking with them and exploring the idea of working with them. So the next step is the interview, right? And you want to make sure that you are completely prepared for the interview and you know what you're going to say. You know your key strengths. You know your introduction. You even know what you're going to say at the end of the conversation to move it further. So I say this because that's the third piece is interviewing. And then once you get that offer, it's really not your offer. It's really not your job until you've negotiated a package that will pay you what you're worth, that you're happy with, and that the company is very happy with. And they are. If you are positioning yourself as a standalone investment the entire time, trust me, they're going to want to pay you what you're worth because they see the benefit, they see the ROI. All right, and that's really the big picture. Now, I want to ask, since it's the bottom of the hour, I'm going to ask Hannah to send me some of the questions that you have, because I don't want to keep looking over this way. I would love to answer some of those questions. So let me. Okay. Someone in the chat wanted to connect with us. And yes, absolutely. If there's anyone here that is not connected with me and my team, put your name out there and we can all send you a connection request. Each one of us has, for the most part, each one of us has 30,000 connections, which is the most you can get. That's going to increase your second level connections tremendously. So if you want to connect with us, just put it out there, connect with me, because we have your email, so we can absolutely get connected with you probably by the 1st of next week with no problem. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so Arvind and Judy, list of private equity firms, the Crunchbase, yes, we can do that. And then a question is, my objective is to find a WFH position in a professional service or nonprofit organization in a growth mode. Excellent. I'm glad that you have figured out where in the evolution of a company, in that life cycle of a company, where you want to be, and help bridge the gap between who they are reaching, client or donor wise, and those that are not. Oh, okay. Now Hannah's saying, never mind. Okay. Any other questions? I would love to answer any questions since we're at the bottom of the hour. I'm not seeing anything right now, but I will keep that open. Okay. Let's go ahead and keep going. We'll go into the different components. All right. So you've got in any day, you've got a morning routine in the morning, just kind of stepping back and looking at your full day. You're working. Most people that we work with, about 80% of our clients are employed full-time. Then you've got, when you come home, there's a relaxation piece. Then you've got an evening routine, whatever that is, prior to going to bed. And then you got going to bed and sleeping. So there's a lot that I could go into with all of these, but I did focus this on this conversation on the morning routine, because you can take anything that I'm saying about a routine and make it for any of these parts of the day, especially in the relaxation after working. And I'll go into detail of that in just a moment. I can tell you a little bit about, I just realized that kind of looks like a fried egg, doesn't it? So my sleeping and waking routine. I love to learn. If you follow me at all, you know that I am a voracious learner. I love to learn new stuff and then apply that new stuff in a different way than what it's been applied to in the past. Well, someone recently told me that's basically what innovation is, taking something that's already out there and applying it in a different way, in a different industry, in a different size company, all of those things. So I love to watch videos. I love to listen to Audible, to listen to audios, and I am constantly getting in new information. And then when I wake up, after I've assimilated it in my head while I sleep, I wake up and I go to, I really do like to start my day. And here's the thing, I go to bed early enough that I wake up on my own without any kind of alarm. So keep in mind, if you're waking up to an alarm, technically you didn't get enough sleep because you didn't wake up on your own. So I set my alarm for 4:20. I routinely get up between, I'd say 3:30 and 4, but I go to bed early enough. And also I'm older, so I don't need as much sleep as I did when I was younger. So I really kind of work backwards. And so when I wake up, I do spend some time not only emailing clients that have asked me questions overnight, but also just putting down all of these ideas that I had because of the stuff that I learned the night before. So I love doing that. I don't want to go into step-by-step all of my waking routine, but I'll give you, actually, I'm going to give you a routine, kind of a daily routine worksheet. I'll get that to you in a few minutes later. And I want to go back to something that Robin Sharma said in his 5 a.m. book. It's keeping the main thing, achieving your objective. That objective or goal is you want to keep your headspace focused on that goal throughout the day. So if it is your intention on getting a new role, then you need to do things that will keep the main thing, okay? And let's talk about that relaxation at the end of the day. After work, most people relax. There's something that they do to build a bridge between the working and the evening routine family time. And here's what I've found with myself and a lot of people. When the lockdowns happened in March of 2020, everyone who was commuting every day instantly stopped commuting. So what happened was we oftentimes do not do something to delineate between working and home life, family time. And therefore we end up working too many hours. We end up saying, okay, yeah, I didn't commute so I can spend that time at work. But there is nothing to bridge and make separate the working day and the family time. And then you end up with just working day and not, the family time suffers. So my question to you is, do you often hear that you're a workaholic? And a lot of our clients are. So if you are, build something into your daily routine that separates work from family, and build a time. Give it a time. I'm done at 5. I'm done at 6, whatever that is. When you're done, you're done. And then you have a routine of some activity to break it off and then spend time with family. And then your family also knows that that's family time. Okay. I recommend doing that because I am, I work a lot of hours too. And I think that if I've got more hours, I can be more relaxed. Not really. You need to build in that family time. It's something that all of us, I think, need to be reminded of. But when I talk about all of this 30,000 view and all of these big things, it is very ambiguous. So we need to figure out approximately when we want to do each of these different pieces of the day. And like I said, I think I jumped the gun. When you're working remotely, you no longer commute. There isn't a sharp difference between work time and home time. So you need to create your routine. I'm just going to say you create it with instinct, and then you hone it through trial and error. So think about, as far as the hours go, how many hours you want to work, when you want to start work, there's a time, and then when you want to leave work. Because when we were commuting, I arrive at the office at a certain time. And maybe you're early. You always like to arrive at office at 7 o'clock. Maybe you like to arrive at 9:30 and then you work until 6:30 or 7. So figure out what those time blocks are, put them in, and then start to move things around until it feels really comfortable for you. So we've talked about that big structure. Let's figure out what components you want to put in each of your routine. And what I recommend is pick one time of day, one routine, and do something with it first. So you can go into morning routine and really just ignore the evening routine, or you just want to say, I want to keep the main thing, or maybe it's, I don't have enough time that allows me to transition from day to night. I need to be able to do that. So figure out what it is you want to focus on first, and then you can apply the exact same logic to your other sections of the day. All right? So I recommend doing that. Is that helpful? I'd love to know in chat. I'd love to know if that's helpful. So really quickly, let's kind of build that perfect morning routine. The first step, of course, is to define the objective. Got to know what that goal is for the morning. And it's primarily to set you up to achieve the objective of the daily routine. So if you set up your morning routine to allow you extra time in the day to do what you need to do, great. Do it that way. Focus on the morning routine. So also keep in mind, whatever it is that you decide is the main thing and whatever morning routine you want to build, you have to make it very simple, very easy. Incredibly simple. Yes, incredibly simple. You want to identify the causes of easily getting out of bed, and also the blockers that will keep you from waking up. Let's say, for instance, you've got to make sure you're well rested. If you're really tired, you're just going to hit that snooze over and over again. You also have to make sure that you're looking forward to something when you get up. So when you go through your evening routine, your nighttime routine to wake up, you have to have in mind what you want to do the next day. And so keep in mind, though, you've got, the 80-20 rule, where a lot of people will put 10 things into a morning routine, a lot of things. And then it's going to make it boring, and it's actually going to make it very difficult to stick with it. And what I would recommend is you just add a couple of things into your morning routine. Just a few. Don't get crazy complicated. Okay. So it's also, like I had said before, it's also an ongoing process of refinement. You're always going to make it a little bit better. Okay. And it's not just for morning routines. You apply that to evening routines, and always remember that objective. Always remember the what you're wanting to get out of this extra time and this routine. Okay. And then apply that 80-20 rule. And you want to think, what are the few things I need to do in order to achieve that objective? Again, 2 or 3 things that you would want to do in order to achieve whatever goal you've put in place. Maybe it's job searching, maybe it's something else. And happiness comes from the way you view the things you do, and not actually the activities themselves or the behaviors. It's how you perceive the behaviors that you do that gives you the most happiness. All right. So I've got 3 action steps for you, and then I'm going to release the hounds and give you the slide deck as well as the planner worksheet that I put together. So I've got 3 action steps for you. First of all, if you haven't done the putting of the main thing, I want to know what your main thing is. This is really important, because what it does is when you post it and you publicly post it, it's going to heighten your commitment. You're going to be so much more committed. So I want to see, and I'm going to up here. Ooh, Smara. Oh, I love this. In a hybrid work scenario, an agile routine has to be complicated. I love that. I love that. Great. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay. So I want to know in the chat, put it in now, what it is that you're committing to. And it could be for the month of June. It could be the activities that you want to get done. Maybe it's making sure that you've got the best brand out there, the best LinkedIn profile, doing things that will get you noticed on LinkedIn, or doing things on the resume so that when you send it out there, it's going to grab attention. Here's the thing too. It's not so important that it's bringing a lot of traffic to LinkedIn, to your LinkedIn profile. That's not the point, actually. The point is to make it so that when you do bring traffic to your profile, that it is setting you up at this level versus down here. Make sure that it is setting you up, that you're positioning yourself. People will perceive you as being top talent, world-class talent, and not just down here like any other person. You put any other person down there, they're not going to capture the attention, actually get someone to call them. So please put it up there. So Justin, I'm going to read this. For the month of June, I need to get my LinkedIn short up with a picture. Yes, picture, yes. And my resume needs updated and my personal portfolio. Yes. So if you want some help with that, absolutely contact us. In fact, I'll put up my husband's information and you can just set up a time to talk with him. Do understand too, my husband has a huge heart and he's a teacher at heart. So if you set up time with him, he will make sure that you leave that conversation with a ton of value. So I want to know what your main thing is. Ole, yes, review my LinkedIn. It's been rather dormant. Yeah, I do hear that a lot. Most people don't really spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, but I should say in looking for a job, they forget that LinkedIn is, in my mind, it seems to be the #1 source for great conversations to start. And of course, your goal in LinkedIn is to take someone from online to offline as soon as possible, because it's only when you actually have a conversation back and forth that you'll start to build a relationship. You can't truly build a meaningful relationship just by sending a bunch of messages on LinkedIn. Okay. So I love that idea. CK, complete work on my resume that I started 4 months ago. Yes, absolutely. And Craig, overhaul LinkedIn profile. Sounds to me like a lot of you are at that beginning stage, which is perfect because that's foundational. If you don't have that, then nothing else will work. You know, in Networking Superhighway, we do use LinkedIn these days for the main way of finding the right people. There are other ways. You can look at press releases at PR Newswire. You can look at the local business journal or really national business journal. Keep in mind the pandemic, if there's any silver lining, especially for the job market, it's that you now can work from any company anywhere. You don't have to look locally. You actually can look in your same time zone, in your same state. There's so many options for you in your same industry. You can get to a great company that you never have to step foot into. Although a lot of people, if they're in a top leadership position, the CEO or the other people in leadership, they want you to fly there or drive there a couple times a month, once or twice a month for a couple of days. So I'm glad to see all of this, all of the stuff that you're talking about, all of you. I think it looks like most everybody is not worried so much about how they're interviewing, but more, let's get that first impression really solid so that once you get that and they're talking with you, they already perceive you as being up here. They know you're a top performer, a world-class performer. Okay. So the second thing is, what is one thing that you can add to your morning routine that's going to help you keep your main thing the main thing? So I'll give you some examples so you know what I'm talking about. So maybe it's putting together a very productive morning routine that gives you an extra half hour in your day. Maybe it's what I do, which is, sitting at my computer, not looking at my phone, but actually getting up, sitting at my computer with a cup of coffee early in the morning. It really helps me to focus on what I want to do that day. I do love spending a good half hour to an hour in just looking at my emails, just looking at LinkedIn messages. There's so many ways to connect with people online these days, but you have to get it offline to actually build that relationship. So what's the one thing that you can do to keep the main thing the main thing? And think about what that main thing is. So you've talked about the objective. A lot of you were talking about LinkedIn or your resume. So what can you do to make sure LinkedIn is incredible? Put it in chat because I want to see it. Yeah. Yes, Judy is standing on how many executive level positions are being posted. Yeah, yeah. Work from home. Absolutely. Really. And here's the reason. I've read this several times, actually. And I see it a lot in the newsletters that I'm in, as far as like the career field, newsletters that come by. They say that employers are now understanding that if they want to attract top talent, they've got to show work from home. They call that a remote first workplace. So if you're considered a remote first workplace, you can get a lot of people that, let's say they don't want to move to the city that you're in as an employer. You're trying to get those people, the best talent, at the best price, of course. And a lot of times, especially if you're on the coasts, you start to look in the middle of the country, and that's what they're doing. And they're putting it out there, work from home. That's huge. And they are seeing that as a big talent grab. They want to do that to get the best talent. But what are you going to add? I'm going to go back to what I asked. So put in there, because I want you to commit to it. And you're going to commit to it by putting it in writing and putting it in here in a public forum. So update LinkedIn, rewatched your videos on LinkedIn profiles. Yes, yes. Actually, I think on our website, Career Resume Consulting, I think I've got a video page that just simply talks about LinkedIn, what you do with your LinkedIn. I think it's about a 20-minute video that instructs you from top to bottom what it is that you have to do. So I want you to go there. Now, finally, I want you to download it's a very simple worksheet. It's like 2 or 3 pages. I think it's 3 pages. So it's a worksheet that helps you create and helps you identify your morning routine. So Hannah, if you can put that up, you probably already have. Let's see, not yet. Let me go ahead and get that up there. And actually, I will put both of these things. I'm going to put the, here we go. I just put out the Routine Builder Worksheet 2022. And then I also want to put out the slides. So those are sharing now too. So you should be able to get both the slide deck from here and also the Routine Builder, which is a 3-page, very simple document, but it helps you outline what is it that you need to do to build that morning routine. All right. All right. Excellent. And I want you to dedicate yourself to doing a morning routine. So, you know, I know this sounds kind of corny, and I was talking with Hannah about this morning. I want you to commit to taking action right now. So I want you to say, yes, I am going to do this in the next week. I am going to do this in the next month. And maybe it's long enough that you need to say, okay, I'm working a lot of hours, but I will commit to do X by the time my kids go back to school in the fall. So whatever it is, commit to it, put it out there. I really want to see them. And actually, I look through the chat all the time, like every single time. And I want to see if there's any QA. I'm just going to look at the questions in here, okay? Yes, okay. Is Tammy or CRC providing video presentation services? Actually, when you say video presentation services, yes. Well, it depends on what you mean by video presentation services. But as part of our branding program now, and I started to do this at the beginning of last year, so it was beginning of 2021. You know, I determined, hey, and it wasn't rocket science, it wasn't brain science, it wasn't rocket science, but basically, I wanted to give everyone the ability to put themselves out there on video in the best way, because of course, there's no face-to-face, or there wasn't any face-to-face interviews happening, period. So they needed to have a killer LinkedIn presence. So I've got a video coach that I have on retainer. I asked him, hey, can I throw you some more money and you help me do videos with all of my clients? So that's what we're doing. Any of the branding clients, it doesn't even cost anything for them because I'm absorbing that. And I make sure that you can put up anywhere from 1 to 4 videos and we help you script them, we help you produce them, and we make sure that you've got the best equipment for the lowest cost. And then you can actually put 1 to 4 videos out there. And they're not outwardly selling you, because the reason for video before someone meets you is not to sell you per se. It's to break down the barrier, that stranger barrier that people have before they meet you. Everyone, even if you're in sales, you have to, take a good swallow and go, okay, I don't know this person, but something about them is so compelling that I want to reach out to them. You have to do the same with employers and recruiters and private equity partners and board members. So you want to show yourself to be just a top performer, a world-class performer. So I found that having those videos out there, not only do people get more calls, but also when they do get calls, the person who saw those videos, they always say, wow, I was on LinkedIn, I saw your video, I'm so impressed. So whether you're doing that with us or yourself, take a little bit of time and think about what you want to say and put a video out there. Think about if you were going to create a LinkedIn article, right? And it's top 3 ways to do X, top 3 ways to save money in a manufacturing environment. Boom, boom, boom. Say that in video, you got yourself a compelling video and somebody calls you. You're not selling yourself, you're selling your ideas, okay? So be stronger than your excuses, really. I saw that, I just needed to say that. I want you, and we are here to help, of course. I want you to take a look. I've got a YouTube channel. It's got videos on it, like 200 and probably 230, 240 by now. And we also have free resources at careerresumeconsulting.com. Take advantage of those. Look through all of the stuff that we can give you. There's a lot of videos that are instructional. On my YouTube channel, I do have probably, I would say 60% of the videos out there are around interviewing. So there's a ton of interviewing tips, and especially video interviewing. In fact, at our careerresumeconsulting.com, I've got a 10-point video interview checklist. Boom, 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 boom. Tells you what you need, tells you how you need to practice, gives you everything. So if you want that video interview checklist, go to our website, pick it up, and it's free. Just click on free resources, and it's the top one. So let me take a look here. Couple of questions. During the startup of job search process, I have seen a new pattern of companies asking for a video part of pre-selecting process. They are sending a link to a third party. Yes, I've totally seen that, where you can submit a video. Should this be a generic video that can be prepared ahead of time? Thank you. So, yeah. If they allow you to do that. Now, what I've seen with most of these third-party providers is that they are saying, hey, we can get you a lot more people from all over the world if we just put this out, on the internet, because of course the interwebs is global. And so if you have something general that you want to say, definitely make something prepared. Now, you're probably not going to be able to upload, I don't think. I haven't seen one that allows you to upload an actual MP4 or a .mov. So I don't think that that's possible, but you can prepare your answers. You can prepare the stories that you want to use and the introduction, the tell me about yourself answer. So I would say, if you can, put all that together ahead of time. Most of these places most of these third-party providers are giving, it's almost like a one-sided interview, and that's why I don't like it. You're staring at a camera, and probably the number one thing you have to remember when you are doing one of these videos where it's just you and the computer, you have to stare the computer in the eye of the webcam. You have to do that. If you don't, you look shifty and you're not as professional. Look it in the eye just like it's a person. And that's something to remember in video interviewing as well. If you're going to be seen as looking someone in the eye, which is very important, you should be looking that camera in the eye the entire time. All right. The side effect of very demanding work environment and the extra overtime hours unpaid is constant stress. Absolutely. I feel you. Preventing keeping a routine. Preventing to keep a routine. I see. Or to have the head on job search or the interview space. The question is coming every day. how to create that bridge between the current job and the new job search interview demands. Yeah. So what I see when people are going after jobs and you get the attention of an employer that wants to interview you, I've found that those employers are very, very open to doing it before work, after work, on a lunch break, even if you're working from home, and also on the weekends. I mean, I hate to say do it on the weekend, but hey, if you can get yourself out there and have a conversation with somebody, yeah, go ahead and do it. And it does create stress. Now, keep in mind, though, that if you're working overtime hours and then you can't really put together a routine, I'm going to push back on that, because I think that you can put together a routine. It's just a matter of when you start it. So if you've got a routine of, I want to do this, 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 I want to spend 15 minutes on, let's say in LinkedIn, on Sales Navigator, finding the list of the people that I need to talk to, and then my 15 minutes every day, no matter what time that is, but my 15 minutes that I'm spending on it are going to be in connecting with those people, sending out connection requests. A lot of them. You have to remember, to a certain extent, it is a numbers game. It's a numbers game. And then I've got one more: how to spring forward to higher positions than current position held. Yeah, that's great. A couple of things you can do, because unfortunately, these recruiters that reach out to you, most of the time, they only want to talk with you if you've already done the job that they're wanting you to do, which makes no sense to me at all, because why would somebody move to another company, which is risky, and doing the same thing that you're doing now? That doesn't make any sense. So what you'll want to do is, number one, you want to have a great personal brand, which means on your LinkedIn, let's say, for instance, your job title is Director of Operations. However, you happen to be in that company the head of operations. So you could put Director/Head of Operations, or you could say Operations Head. And I have seen that employers seem to be okay with that. And most of the time, they don't even look at your LinkedIn. Once you're hired and you're doing work, it's only the employers that are kind of paranoid that will start looking at your LinkedIn. That doesn't make any sense. So you can do a lot of things and your employer doesn't even know about it. I'm not saying that you're going behind the employer's back. Yeah, what I'm talking about is you've got, you're just doing something, and if they have any qualms with it, they can get a hold of you. It's really not that, it's pretty common. It's not that, I don't see it as being deceptive at all, because you are head of operations, even if you're at a director level. So there's that. Always in your headline on LinkedIn, put your value proposition versus your job title. Don't put a job title on there. What you would say is, let's say, manufacturing operations executive. Okay? Doesn't show a level. And then I like to put a little emoji right there. Maybe it's global, like you have a little globe. Maybe it's a star, whatever it is, it's got color and it makes people attracted to it. So that, keep in mind, the user experience of a recruiter or an employer, they're on LinkedIn, they're looking at lists of people. So when they're looking at lists of people, you've got to stand out. They got, they're looking at 25 people per page. Boom, 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 boom. They're looking at these people, glancing at them. You've got to have color, and that's what gets them to look at that, so that you read the headline. And that headline needs to say it's like an implied promise, what you're going to do for them if they hire you. So it might be manufacturing operations executive. And I'm actually thinking of Armand at this point, but manufacturing operations executive, and then you would say, achieving the impossible to expand margins and new markets, something like that. So that when somebody reads that, they go, ooh, yeah, I want margin expansion. Yeah, I want market expansion. That's exactly what I want to do, which is kind of different for an operations executive to do, but absolutely, it can be done. Or it could be, if you're looking for board positions, Arvin, it could be helping boards accelerate the evolution of the companies they serve. right? Something like that. Oh, I like that one. You should think about that. And that way, anyone that's looking at it knows you're in boards. You want to help boards do that impossible thing, okay? And then, oh my goodness. Any suggestions on how to take a 2-hour assessment? Usually it's a personality profile assessment. Do you fit into their culture? Yeah, I'm going to tell you, my undergrad is in psychology, and but I remember taking semesters of courses about how to administer everything from personality tests, interest inventories, career tests, and all of it I really think is kind of bogus. and you know what? I remember when we were going through all of these that the professors would say, yeah, this stuff's bogus. So here's the thing. You can't really cheat, period. What they're looking for above all is consistency. You don't know what their real culture is. So the third-party company that do these assessments, they basically have had a salesperson come into HR or the executive team and say, you know, we could get you much better talent, and it really helps if you know who these people are and if they can fit into your culture. Well, you know, there's nothing that you can do other than answer it truthfully and making sure that your answers are consistent. So they will, in a 2-hour personality assessment, they will have the same question phrased a different way an hour later. That's what they're looking for. And that shows, if you're consistent there, it shows that you don't have any strong neuroses. And it also shows that, that basically you're not going to lie, that you're truthful. You're not deceptive. You're not trying to give them what you think they need, but instead you're just giving them the true answers. So that's what I would recommend. I don't have a lot of detailed information because it all depends on the assessment. But every time one of our clients in branding or even in any of our other programs comes across that assessment, I will always take a look at the company, the third-party provider that does it, to see what it is that they are promising the employer. And then you'll know what kind of sales pitch they've done for the employer or to the employer, and you'll know what it is that they're looking from that assessment to do. That's my biggest advice. So I know that we are over the top of the hour. I really appreciate you guys taking a little bit of time, a little bit of extra time. And let's see. I am going to put up a picture of my husband and a link to his application to sign up to have a conversation. So it's just like 3 or 4 questions, answer those, contact information, and then it'll take you to his schedule, and you can sign up to talk with him. It's usually set for a half hour, but he generally will go an hour. He's actually very generous with his time. So if you would like to talk with him or even with me, I've got my email on the screen, and you are welcome to just email me if you want to have a conversation. And that's basically, you know, I'm going to go ahead and let me think here, go to slides. There we go. All right. So I would love to know, if you don't mind, I know that we got several people still here. So of the people that are still left, I would love to know, what about my presentation today did you take away to get the most benefit? I would like to know what kind of value you got out of this presentation. This is a little bit different presentation because it's taking a very general and ambiguous topic and trying to make it actually workable and doable, because it's very hard to say, okay, you need a routine, you need to be set up for success. It's very difficult if you don't tell people do this, this, this. And the thing is, everybody's going to be a little different. Everybody has different goals or objectives, but at least if you've got clarity then of what that objective is, then you can start to build, or at least do research on what activities you need to do, what behaviors you need to do in order to get to that goal. So if you can spend a half hour to an hour a day, either as part of your evening routine or as part of your morning routine, if you've got just a little bit of time, spend it reaching out to people. I like LinkedIn. There's a lot of other ways. Like I had mentioned, you could even find emails. There's email databases out there. I'm not a big fan of that because most people will not open an unsolicited email. Although, according to my experience, anywhere from 30 to 45%, even 50% of people that you reach out to will connect with you. So at least that's a way to get warm leads into a company. And then you just want to ask them what their pain points are. Find out what their challenges are. And then if those are what you do, let them know in a follow-up message, a direct message on LinkedIn. Let them know that if you've got XYZ challenge, whatever that challenge is, then let's have a conversation because that's my expertise. I'd love to explore the possibility of working with you to achieve that or to overcome that challenge. So I hope this has helped. Do let me know if this was really helpful for you. And let me see here. I want to make sure we've got, let me know if there's any other piece of value that you got from this. And then we can go ahead and wrap it up. So that's what we got. And thank you very much. And also, if you can think of a certain something that you want me to talk about next month, I can do that. It seems like perhaps it's time to do a LinkedIn tutorial. So I will probably end up doing that. I'm going to leave this on, and that way you can add any comments you want me to see, any questions you want me to answer later. So let me know how things went, if you like it. And I look forward to seeing you next month. Have a wonderful June. And again, I'd love to talk with you if you're interested in working with us. Tammy Kabell with Career Resume Consulting. I'm out. See ya. Bye.